Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and take a look around once in a while, you might miss it. Hey people, my name's Jim and you have landed on Planet Rewind, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the 1986 movie that took the world by storm and kind of came at a time when these 80s coming of age teen movies were so popular, you know, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, all these movies, you know, just came out and just took the world by storm. And John Hughes, who was behind many of the films that came out, really kind of tapped into this voice that wasn't being heard in movies. And he really kind of capitalised on the teenage angst and the teenage spirit. And as I said in my Breakfast Club video, guys, John Hughes was eternally young. He clearly was. He understood teenage lives. He just understood. So Ferris Bueller's Day Off tells the story of Ferris Bueller, played by Matthew Broderick, who decides life goes pretty fast. He wants to take a day off from school and just have fun because he's graduating soon. He can see the big wide world in front of him and he wants to just take a step back and relax for a day and just have some escapism. So he takes his best friend Cameron, played by Ruck, with him, and his girlfriend Sloane, played by Sara. The movie is basically Ferris Bueller and his mates running around and just having fun and causing chaos and doing whatever the hell they want to do whilst no one notices. No one on planet Earth notices and finds out. The weird thing about Ferris Bueller's Day Off is, for me, it's a great movie. I do really like it, but I don't like it as much as, say, movies like The Breakfast Club and others. I just don't. I feel there's only one core emotional journey in this film, and it's very much an escapist film, and that's the idea behind it. But it's heightened. You know, I think you can relate to the ideas in it, but you can't really have any of this happen. None of this shit would happen, guys. Ferris Bueller's going around. He's driving around the town in a Ferrari with his mates. They're going into art galleries. They're going into restaurants. He goes in front of the whole city in a fair singing a song, and no one picks up on this. No one finds out. Even his parents see him for moments and he just somehow ducks out of the way. You can relate to the idea of escapism. You can relate to the idea of wanting to take a step back from life and just do what you want for a while.
Incredible. One of the worst performances of my career, and they never doubted it for a second. How could I possibly be expected to handle school on a day like this?
Matthew Broderick is great as Ferris Bueller. Now, Matthew Broderick, for me, he's never been a great actor. I really don't think he is. But this was his shining period. When he was young, I feel like as he's got older, Matthew Broderick, he just got more and more boring. Like, the barometer is just cranked up as he got older, guys. I can't watch Matthew Broderick anymore. But in this, you know what? He's charming, you know, he's young, he's got that twinkle in his eye, so he's not the greatest actor in the world, but he can be charismatic, he can be charming as Ferris Bueller. And Ferris Bueller is very much one of those kids who everything goes right for. Like, he can just get away with anything. Very much like a Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. You know, when a Zach Morris, he's probably got the brain of a flea, but somehow he's passing all of his classes and he's going to go to a great college and he's going to marry Kelly Kapowski. Like, somehow it's going to work out, even though normally this guy would be out on his arse. But, you know, in this reality, Ferris Bueller, he's going to achieve the world, guys, without trying. And his mate Cameron isn't. The fact that his friend Cameron, played by Ruck, things don't go well for him. You know, they're kind of chalk and cheese as best friends. You know, Ferris can just get his way out of anything and just he doesn't go on an emotional journey in this film. He doesn't. You know, you expect it to be, you know, Ferris will eventually learn the error of his ways, that he's got to kind of focus on his studies as well. He's got to learn respect. But he doesn't. He just does what he wants, guys. But Cameron actually has mental health struggles. This is kind of crazy. In this kind of upbeat, positive, escapist movie, you get an insight into Cameron's real struggle with mental health, real struggle with his home life. and how he, you know, he hangs out with Ferris, and Ferris brings out, you know, that the inhibitions, you know, and you get this feeling that Cameron and his father have a terrible relationship, and it's just sad to see. And because he's the opposite of Ferris, he's got to fight to actually get anything in life. He's not lucky like Ferris, he's not charming like Ferris, but it was good to see that kind of those two opposites, you know, and they're very much opposites attract as best friends in this. And you feel sorry for Cameron because he's a nice kid, but he struggles.
Then I sort of watched myself from inside. I realized it was ridiculous. Being afraid. Worrying about everything. Wishing I was dead. All that shit. I'm tired of it. It's the best day of my life. I'm gonna miss you guys next year.
I think it was important to have that in the film, you know, it's not just to have... You have Ferris, of course, and he's your token, charming whiz kid. But you get the other side, you get the kid who's not sure of himself, the kid who's going to struggle. And it's a great performance by Alan Ruck. It's a really great performance. It's unlike any performance I have seen in a teenage movie. I must say, it's quite dark in areas. It's quite unpredictable in areas. You never know when this kid's going to... You know, he's like a mood ring throughout the movie. Sara as Sloane is charming enough. You know, she's kind of there. She doesn't really have a character, you know. This movie could have been a lot better if it had an emotional journey for Ferris and everyone in the movie. If it was more like Breakfast Club. But again, you know, it's not what John Hughes was trying to do. He'd done that in Breakfast Club. In this, it was very much... It was almost cartoony. It was heightened. It was about just... anything can happen on this given day. About a kid who can just basically get away with anything and do anything he wants, and the freedom that brings. And you kind of live vicariously through Ferris Bueller. He doesn't learn a thing. Doesn't learn a bloody thing. Just as much of a whiz kid and a little shit at the end of this movie as he is at the start, but you can't help but get swept under Matthew Broderick's spell. And that's kind of impressive because he does a lot of things in this movie which could be considered not very likeable, because he gets his friends in trouble. He almost gets himself in trouble. He's reckless, and he doesn't learn how not to be reckless in this movie, which is, again, I'm saying it's a bad thing, but it's unique that the main character doesn't have an emotional journey. It's just watching him do his thing. There are many fun and entertaining scenes. Of course, the scene where Ferris performs in that fair is great. It's an iconic 80s scene. To see Matthew Broderick up there strutting his stuff is iconic. It's a moment in time. I also love the scene where they go to the baseball game. I love the scene where they go to the restaurant and convince the staff that Ferris is this kind of high-level person. He swept everyone up under his spell, you know, and it's like, bloody hell, Ferris. You deserve some struggle. You don't struggle with anything in this movie. The one struggle he has is that the principal is onto him, and, you know, the principal in this movie, played by Jeffrey Jones, is just trying to basically catch out a kid who has played truant on him 9 times this year. I mean, the man's just doing his best, really. He keeps on getting hurt, getting confused, getting embarrassed. All this, but he's just trying to do his job, really, to try and teach this kid a lesson. Why do I sympathise with the principal? God, I'm so old. It is very much a movie where I wonder what did happen, and I think that's a good thing, because lots of movies, they'll do a sequel years down the line, it won't live up. In this, you can kind of make up in your head what became of Cameron, what became of Ferris. And, you know, Ferris Bueller 2 was hinted at. Obviously, Matthew Broderick did that kind of commercial recently, which is a tribute to Ferris Bueller.
How can I handle work on a day like today?
It was hinted at, and I thought to myself, maybe I'd want to see it, but I like the mystery this movie brings. I like how, again, it doesn't really answer any questions about these kids' futures. It's very much a lightning strike of a movie. It's very much a snapshot of time. It's very much really young-hearted, you know, by John Hughes. And while he was trying to explore the angst of being a teenager in Breakfast Club, here he's just trying to explore the rebellious side of being a teenager, that just wanting to have fun. There doesn't have to be an emotional journey, doesn't have to be a resolution. Sometimes you just want to cause trouble like Ferris, you know. There is that Dennis the Menace appeal to Ferris Bueller, and, you know, kids have always got that dream of just, you know, being alone, you know, very much a idea that he went back to in 1990, Home Alone, but doing what they want without parents, because they only get that chance once, you know, or a few times. And I love that he capitalised on that. This is a fun movie, guys. It is fun to see Matthew Broderick going around just being an arrogant little bastard, running his mouth, getting his mates in trouble, taking them on this wild journey, this wild goose chase. You know, it fills you with escapism for 2 hours. Despite it being heightened, it being crazy, the things they get up to you couldn't really do unless you're quite rich, you know. But you can still stop and smell the roses in life. You can still focus on the good things. You can still take time to escape now and again. And that's what the movie's about, and I enjoy it. And I think there are some quick fire, great dialogue that John Hughes is known for doing. Hilarious moments, great chemistry between all the cast. Matthew Broderick's a likeable lead. It's positive vibes, and you need that at a time like this. While I don't love it as much as other 80s movies, I do really enjoy Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and I'd recommend that you guys watch it. Let me know what you think of Ferris Bueller in the comments down below. Should they have done a Ferris Bueller 2? Was there room to do a second movie? I don't necessarily agree with John Hughes that you couldn't ever do it, but I do think that, you know, it's one of those films that's been preserved. You know, most films are coming back. This is coming back. You know, and I'm excited on it, but it's a risk. It's a risk, guys. Please consider subscribing to this channel. I talk about nostalgic movies every week. And if you enjoyed, like the video and all that good stuff, comment down below, as I said, and I will see you guys next time.